we're in on campus here between two major intersections, and there are a lot of pedestrians on campus. And for whatever reason, everyone wants to cross the street mid-block. Limestone, what the busiest road in the city?
Mm-hmm. Multiple lanes. It's not just a 2-lane simple crossing. So they're basically playing Frogger with their own lives, but they don't have more quarters. It's just, they get one shot at this.
No more quarters.
And you're here to do something about that?
Yeah, so we're working with KYTC and the city of Lexington to try to reconfigure Scott Street at Upper and Limestone. And this is a part of the Newtown Pike extension. So the original idea was to bring Newtown Pike all the way in through where Cornerstone Parking Garage is now.
Okay.
Cornerstone is a bit of a barrier at this point.
Yep.
So now we're looking at connecting through Scott Street, over Harrodsburg Road, or US 68, I guess, and then connecting to Upper and Limestone and reconfiguring that intersection and trying to figure out what do we do with all these pedestrians.
Yeah.
Right.
Can we build as a bridge in the cards?
I think everything's in the cards, right? Yeah. But what can be funded is probably the bigger question. Like you said, a lot of people want to cross mid-block, so we kind of have to meet people where they are. That's the big thing is people will take the easiest path.
Yeah.
So you can't have a big section where there's no sidewalk or no crossing. So that's what we're trying to avoid.
I like a lot of campuses the way, and maybe we've talked about this before, a lot of campuses will design their pedestrian pathways based on where the foot traffic is. They won't even pave it. They'll just leave it grass and just watch where people walk.
And then just pave.
And then pave over that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of the same approach? You're just looking at what people are going to do anyway and then trying to design safe infrastructure around that? That's
part of it, but we're also trying to make the traffic work as well, right? Like you guys said, this is a major in and out for downtown, for people going to work, coming home. So we got to make sure that whatever we design works for the pedestrians as well. You know, we want it to give people enough time to cross the road safely, but also we don't want traffic backing up all the way to Vine Street.
Now, I heard the R word when talking to one of your colleagues, Allie. She was in class today.
Oh, yeah.
She said roundabout.
Controversial.
She said roundabout, and I was like, really?
Like I said, everything's on the table. We're gonna look at all the options. That's part of what we're doing out here today is counting traffic, so we get some 2025 updated traffic counts, and we can look at some different intersection alternatives. Roundabouts on the table.
Not very pedestrian friendly though, right?
Could be a challenge. You can do some different things. A hawk signal. You'd probably have to move it mid-block just a little bit. And
what is a hawk signal?
So a pedestrian would come up like they do now, press the button, wait until the phasing came to them, and then they would get their 20 seconds to cross the road. So similar to what they see now at the intersections, just this would only be for pedestrians. But that's a challenge for the roundabout because the part of the appeal is that cars don't stop.
Yes.
Right. They slow down, but they get that constant stream of traffic, and pedestrians can introduce a bit of a challenge there. So,
they have roundabouts over in south side of campus, but there's not a whole lot of pedestrian traffic there, and I think it works great. But I'd be cautious. I say we build a tunnel. Just go underneath.
Somebody call Elon Musk. Let's get the boring company involved in this.
That's right.
The problem with the tunnel, though, is people have to use it.
Yeah,
right. If it's the fastest point from A to B, people are going to go right over top of that tunnel across 8 lanes of traffic.
Any barrier to the pedestrian, they're going to do their own thing. I'll dare say we can even make this a PSA for our KTC brethren. We have this building, the Whalen building, is on the other side of the street from campus, and we have some employees that come to this building, and
we will not name.
We won't name names. I've seen them do it. They cut straight through, and it really we got to practice what we preach. So
absolutely.
Yep.
I don't know.
So you caught me doing the right thing this morning.
I will say I counted Paul this morning. He pressed the button. He waited till it was green, and he walked across. If any of his bosses are listening, he did the right thing.
That's right. 1 out of 10, but it was the right one. You are listening to The Soapbox. I'm Paul.
And I'm Eric.
This all started out with a list. What's that all about?
So I've compiled a list over the years of things that just bother, things that grind my gears. And I shared that list with you.
And I thought, you know what? That would make interesting conversation. Sometimes I'm going to want to agree with you, and it's just going to be something we talk about. Other times, though, I'm going to want to steel man the opposite position because I think that's just interesting conversation.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I'm always right, but Paul's just a really good debater.
Hey. All right, we have a special guest today on the podcast, and I'm excited to have you on for multiple reasons. But this for me is a little bit of a redemption time as well, because you may remember one of our first significant interactions that might have been memorable for you. Certainly was for me. And so I'll start by saying welcome, Graham Winchester.
Thank you.
We were at a conference, and it was in Lexington, and I happened to be traveling with a young and single 20-something.
There it is. There it is.
And we'd been drinking a little bit, and she noticed you, and she noticed you didn't have any hardware on the left hand. So she's like, I'd like to explore this option. And so we plotted, probably way louder than we realized, with zero sense of self-awareness. Oh yeah, I'll get you an intro. He works with Eric. So then we come up to you, not knowing that you were, like 4 feet away hearing the entire conversation.
I heard every word.
And I try to be Mr. Cash. And I'm like, hey, this is our graphic designer. She's really cool. I've basically outed her.
She's been on the podcast.
She's been on the podcast. I don't think she would care because she's good people. But yeah, I tried to talk her up. And you were champ because you handled it with grace and you smiled and you didn't say anything in the moment. But then later you came up to me and you're like, just so you know, 1, I'm engaged and I'm not on the market. And 2, you are not nearly as quiet as you think you are. And I appreciate that on 2 levels. 1, respect to your wife, right? Props. And 2, I needed a dose of self-awareness there. So,
Well, first off, I would like to say that I'm happily married at this point.
To Sam, right? Oh, wait, no.
But yes, at that point I was engaged, and I definitely heard you all. We were standing in line to get drinks, I think, and it went on for about a couple minutes. You all plotting over there.
Yeah, we thought we were sneaky, and it turns out that 1, when I was dating, I was never good at it anyway. So my approach was just awful. And then 2, I have no business in that domain. I'm 41. I've been married for 13 years. I've been off the market for closer to 20. So, yeah, my game, no riz.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with playing matchmaker for your friends. You were just trying to do the right thing, be a good guy.
Anyway,
but
didn't work out, but I thought that was kind of a funny way to intro you.
I will say, hearing the whole conversation gave me time to think about what to say. So you said I handled it with grace. I had time to prep.
There you go. Okay. So I inadvertently did you a favor by also making it incredibly awkward.
Exactly.
Awesome. So the official intro, Graham Winchester, you work with Stantec.
I do. I'm a civil engineer at Stantec, specializing in transportation safety and traffic.
And you're a pretty smart guy. I creeped on your LinkedIn, and I see that you've got not 1 but 2 degrees. Your first degree is from Transylvania in mathematics, and then you went ahead and just got a second degree in civil engineering from the University of Kentucky. Just because, those are such easy degrees to get, right?
Well, that's how I met Eric. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here. So,
tell me about that. How did that? Was this undergrad connection then?
Yeah. So I started out at Transylvania. Spent 3 years there. I played baseball for 2 years, so that was part of the draw there. But I also liked the small liberal arts college feel. And about 2 years in, realized that I didn't want to be a math professor. I was majoring in math and thought maybe I need to start taking this seriously and figure out what I want to do with my career. So civil engineering popped to the top of my list. I always thought about engineering, but the civil program at UK was very interesting to me. So I started taking classes at both universities and eventually went on to get my math degree and my civil engineering degree. And that's when I met Eric. I started working for him at KTC while I was a student at UK.
The seatbelt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's actually why I'm at KTC as well. I was also a seatbelt student for a while. And I think that's like one of the number 1 traffic and safety recruiting tools. Like if you can stand out with a clipboard in the sunshine for a summer, having people throw insults, swear words, and sometimes physical objects at you for a summer, you've passed the hazing.
That's exactly right.
You can get a job.
Everybody should start there. Everybody should start there.
We probably need to do a round of crazy seatbelt stories because I did seatbelt for years. I know you've got one.
I've got one. Do you have a crazy thing you saw when you were out on the roadside collecting?
I don't know if I have
data?
any crazy things I saw, but I definitely was in a county in eastern Kentucky. I don't want to say which county. And I had a pickup truck drive past me about 3 times. And the third time, they rolled down their window and politely asked me what the hell I was doing out here. So
I thought they were going to proposition you. That's not how I thought that was going to go.
So I told them I was surveying for the water company, and I got in my car and I came back and I counted another time.
Yep.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Yep. No, there's definitely some that they don't want you there because you're not from there. What's your crazy story?
I don't have an epic one like I know you do, but I have a couple slivers. I think there was a very elderly lady in some eastern Kentucky county that asked what I was doing, and I told her, and she said, "I'm never going to wear my seatbelt." She was just like, hands down, "I'm never going to do it. You can't tell me what to do."
Damn right.
So I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll put you down as a no." She wasn't even driving, but I put her down as a no because I know
she's going to eternally be a no.
eternally. My favorite one is I think in Western Kentucky, and I was wearing my very favorite Bad Religion t-shirt. There's just 2 words, right? There's nothing on it. It's not like they've got the Crossbuster as their logo, which is very, very offensive. But this is just Bad Religion. And I'm sitting there, I'm counting clipboard, and a guy pulls over, winds down his window, and picks up a Bible and says, "This is good religion." And I looked over, and he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. I was like, "I'm putting you down as a no, sir."
That's a no.
So mine was something that people didn't believe for a while. I was in Ashland, Kentucky, and our site was right near an overpass. And I had a little pocket knife with me, so I thought, if I get into a pinch, I've got a little, protection. And this guy starts walking towards me from under the overpass, and he is wearing full, authentic metal medieval armor. And he's got this dead look on his face. It's very clear he's not like with the Ren Fair or happy. And so I'm like, okay, I'm out. I'm like looking at my knife. I'm like, he is fully equipped for what I have. There's no way I'm going to survive this encounter. So I left and I came back and I told people, and everybody is kind of like, yeah, whatever. I'm sure you're exaggerating. Well, it turns out I found a news article years later. This guy was a Powerball winner, and he lived over in Ashland, and he partied all the time, and he got in with a crowd that was into meth. And so through partying, bad company, bad substance abuse issues, he got bankrupted as a Powerball winner. And I caught him in transition from having a lot of things that he enjoyed to being homeless under a bridge. And at that point in time, the armor, and I guess probably some meth, were the things that he brought with him. So I caught him maybe in one of the worst parts of the downward spiral that inevitably led to his demise. The man passed away. But my brother and I are like, okay, so now he's the Ashland meth knight. And that actually makes the decision to DQ the site and come back later like all the more wise.
That's probably the crazy seatbelt story I've heard. I don't know if I've heard anything better than that.
I was flashed once.
Was he attractive?
She was.
Did she circle back around?
I don't know if it's a circle back. She may have passed, and I didn't notice the first time. But,
Was she wearing her seatbelt?
Yeah,
I noticed the second time.
Yeah, a seatbelt? Yes or no?
I didn't notice.
See, this is the data quality issues that we need to work through.
Yes, I did have one friend / bandmate / employee that was doing seatbelt data, and we check out cars, right? We get the cars through Motor Pool, and so everyone's using a pool of cars. And he said he went and collected data somewhere pretty far, eastern Kentucky, and came back with the data sheets, right? They're labeled, and he put the date, the time, and he had all the data collected. It, not surprisingly, matched pretty close to what it was last year, okay, in terms of percentage and all that. And then in the car door pocket, there was a receipt for Me Mexico I know Mexican food, and you can tell if it's for one person or two people reasonably. And it had a total on it, and I was like, yeah, that's a meal for two. The Me Mexico is right near his house in Lexington, and the date and time stamp on it
right when he was supposed
right when he's supposed to be collecting data.
That's tough.
Yeah, so he didn't get fired for that per se, but when seatbelt was over, we were very like, we're out of work
the door
now.
hit you where the Lord split
and
you.
then he quit the band. Yeah. So.
Which one was worse? Which felt like more of a betrayal?
Ooh, that's a good question, because we were almost in trouble finding a new drummer, but then we ended up getting lucky and finding Daniel. But yeah, that hurt. But
so the format of the podcast, just to pivot and take a hard turn here. It's the soapbox. And
he was getting tired of our conversation, so
I'm bored. Okay, shut up. No, the format is what grinds your gears, and we kind of showed you the list ahead of time here. So all we've done is just premeditate a very cursory topic, and that is fitness. But there's a lot I think that we could cover on that. And you had the list out a moment ago.
I've got one to start.
Yeah,
Have you got one to start?
You know what really grinds my gears?
Perfect segue.
When people complain that the gym is busy in January. That bothers me.
Yeah.
Why is that?
As someone who goes to the gym consistently throughout the year, you get an influx of people in January, and even February sometimes is even more common than January, but they're just trying to better their lives. Yeah. They're trying to come to the gym. Maybe some positivity would help them. But you have, people like me who are there throughout the year who are like, the equipment's going to be taken and my workout might take 15 minutes longer. And, they're not going to be particularly friendly to these people. And that really grinds my gears.
So the gatekeeping mentality of the gym bros.
Yeah. Gals.
And gals. Okay. Yeah. They don't generally look at me or talk to me. So I only deal with the bros, but I also go to the alumni gym. So it's all oldies, which I actually love because I've only been going since September. I've avoided the gym basically my entire life. And then I do play ice hockey, and I injured my knee and had to have physical therapy because my kneecap floated over where it wasn't supposed to be, and some stuff got torn, and it was not awesome. Didn't have to have surgery, and I didn't take the physical therapy as seriously as I should for the first few weeks. And then my physical therapist, Matt, over at Turfland, UK physical therapist, can't remember his last name,
Matt.
but shout out Matt. He struck a chord with me in an unexpected sort of way where he said, "Hey, Paul, I want you to look around this room." And I looked around, and it's all like young student athletes, right? And he said, all these young people, they can do this thing, this leg push thing, lift on this machine, and they do about 100% of their body weight. He's like, you're doing about 40%. And he basically was like, middle-aged man. And I took that as a challenge.
Called you out.
Yeah.
Called me out. So this was first week of September. I went over to Export Street, got a membership at the gym over there, and I started going 5 days a week. And I'm like, dang it, Matt, I'm going to show you that I'm not, well, I am a middle-aged man, but that I still got it. Maybe I never had it. Maybe I'm getting it for the first time.
There you go.
And I've been going ever since. But for a while, I think there was that sort of, I don't know if this was a self-conscious perception or if this was actually what people did, but you could tell the regulars, and you could tell I was like, the new guy on the cell block sort of. And it felt weird sort of working myself into their routine. Because you could see some of them have clipboards and notebooks, and they're taking metrics on what they're doing, and I'm just like, what's this machine do? How do I sit on it? Oh, I'm not supposed to pull it. I'm supposed to push it.
Someone's tapping you on the shoulder saying, turn around. You're not supposed to sit that way.
So I appreciate, and I actually I'm grateful for folks that have your mentality on that, because I think it's so already, it's not something people want to do necessarily when they first get into it. And then you develop a routine, you start to see some results, you get hooked after a time. But that barrier to entry is huge.
I think most people leave after a month or two. So if you can just extend a welcome or let them know that they're not bothering you, because sometimes I think, new people think they're bothering those that were there before them. That shouldn't matter. That
is a really good perspective, because I guess I've always heard that. I don't think I've been one of the ones that complains too much, because Orange Theory is like that too. Classes will fill up faster. So for me, I just, instead of complaining about it. I just book my class sooner, right? Because it's predictable, like you're saying, and it's going to fade, in February, and hopefully it won't, because hopefully you get new people, because the more people going, it's part of the family, right?
Absolutely,
I like it.
And when the weather gets a little warmer, people can be more active outside. But in that January, February time frame in Kentucky, it's a little cold, a little hard to exercise outside. So
yeah. Now, do you think there's another perception of beginners as either being like kind of stupid with how to use the equipment, or like, oh, do you even lift, bro? Look at you with just the bar. Like, do you think there's judgment in that domain?
Oh, no doubt. Both of those things, I think, happen. But like I said, if you're there all the time and you have your routine, getting thrown off your routine for a couple weeks shouldn't be the end of the world.
It might even inspire you to try something new, or help someone.
Now, how long have you been doing this? Did this start with your baseball conditioning, or?
Yeah, I'd say probably when I was in high school, I started lifting weights and exercising for baseball, and then post baseball, I got into CrossFit to kind of keep that competitive edge alive, and I've done local, regional, national competitions over the last 10 years.
Wow. So you have defied a stereotype because you didn't lead with CrossFit.
I try not to. I try to let someone else bring it up.
I work Orange Theory into every podcast.
See, he said it first.
He does, yeah. By the way, I'm vegan. No, I'm very not vegan.
Yeah, no, those club, the class based and the more like it's more like a community. I think. I go to the alumni gym here, which I don't know if anyone notices this too, but no mirrors in the gym. I mean the bathroom, of course, but like because of the building, they didn't put up any mirrors. So there are actual people that work out that go like, I can't go there. There's no mirrors.
So how do you know how good your pump was?
How do you know how good your pump? There was a guy that did, Tony and I used to go to what's by the Johnson Center, the
other gym.
The other gym. There was a guy that would like do like an ab workout and then immediately walk up, pull up his shirt, and then just kind of check. Did it work? Did it work?
I have never checked my abs after an ab workout, but I can promise you that if it worked, it's obfuscated. I joke that I have flabs, not abs, but I'm working on it. I'm making some progress.
So as someone who's relatively new to the gym, what grinds your gears when you walk in there?
So being in the gym for the first time, I think one of the things that is interesting to me, and I don't know that this is necessarily it grinds my gears, but there's a lot less social interaction than I would have anticipated. Having not been in that environment, my exposure to gym culture is basically like videos that pop up on Facebook Reels where influencers are filming themselves and then getting yelled at.
The worst.
Or like movie interactions of people lifting and, oh, let me spot you, bro, stuff like that. I get none of that. I get a greeting at the desk and a room full of people with headphones in that don't want eye contact. And I almost wish it was just a little bit more social, because you're talking about the family aspect of group classes, which does not appeal to me, especially early on. I didn't want to work out with other people because I didn't want them to see how profoundly out of shape I was. I was embarrassing. Like, I just kind of wanted to isolate. But now that I'm there for a while, it would be cool if I had some guy like you who had been there for a while who said, hey, by the way, if you just work on your posture here, your squat, you're not getting a full pump because your leg extension's wrong, or you put your butt out more, or whatever. So you kind of have to like discover these things either by looking at the guy who looks like how you wish you looked and then just watching his form, or a YouTube video or something like that. And I think you could have a little more cross-pollination if you had the folks that were experienced and had technique just saying, hey, by the way, you're looking really good there, but tighten that elbow in or whatever. I think that would be awesome. So, and I think that's maybe a larger cultural commentary, because you walk around campus now and it is not what it was 10, 15 years ago. It used to be teachers would say, hey, quiet down, class is about to start. And you go into most classrooms and they're just on their screen, they're isolated in large groups, and just people don't talk.
AirPods changed everything too, because now even, I think I was playing pickup basketball and there was a kid that had an AirPod in. It's like, what are you
while he's
doing
playing.
while he's playing basketball?
Oh, wow.
Can you not be without your music or whatever you're listening to for 20 minutes?
That is bizarre.
Yeah.
I know I've talked to you about the kind of class atmosphere at Orange Theory, and that is one of the things that I think is great about it is they walk around and they'll. I mean, that's one of the main purposes they're there. Correct form, or even some of the coaches will bring you a heavier weight. They'll be like, you've been in my class before. I know you can.
So
here,
the
why don't you
whole
use this?
premise, because some people may not even know what Orange Theory is. There's certain levels of engagement measured by what biometrics, like heart rate.
Yeah, it's all heart rate based. So you wear a heart rate monitor, and they want you in the orange zone for a certain number of minutes. It's like an hour-long workout. But you'll work with a base pace on the treadmill to push.
I assume green is I'm not working, orange is I'm working and sweating, and red is I'm going to need medical intervention.
It's about right. There's gray, which is just your resting heart rate. Okay. Then there's blue, where that's like maybe a brisk walk. Green is where you're, what they call a base pace. Didn't mean for this to be a commercial for Orange Theory, but maybe we can get a sponsorship. But your green is your base pace, and you're working out, you could still have a conversation while running. And then you go, orange is a push, where now you're like 8 out of 10 effort is usually what the metric they use. And then your red is all out. That's where you're basically sprinting. You're breathing.
Red is unsustainable.
They don't want you in the red zone for so many, that's like, the pyramid, right? It's one of the edges. So,
well, to avoid getting sponsored by Orange Theory here, I'm going to throw a plug to a newer gym in Lexington that I've been involved with, Metabolic, downtown. It's near the Manchester Hotel on Manchester Street.
Yeah.
Okay. So they redid what was an old, I don't know if it was an old school or what, but it's really cool on the inside. It's a class-based, just like Orange Theory, with a little heavier weights. So option to go up. So it's kind of more strength-based.
We have an 80-pound dumbbell, and that's the highest.
Mm-hmm. And for a lot of things, that's all you need. But yeah,
I mean, that's what I curl, but it's whatever.
He means the sport, curling. And he just pushes it on ice. It's not that impressive.
I know he can't push that much.
But to get there with the broom, though, and I can.
So I want to use what you talked about to get into another thing that's on the list here, and that because you're talking about one of the things on your list is walking versus running.
Yeah.
Do you want to unpack why that's on your list?
Well, and this one is kind of rule of thumb, but I thought about during COVID, like I tracked all of my walking, all of my runs. I just run my first half marathon before COVID, and I was kind of training for another one, and then COVID hit, and I don't know why it convinced me to stop, because that was the perfect time to keep at it, right? So I would still run longer to 10 miles or so, but then I started, putting these in the apps and calculating the calories, and I started realizing time was really the kind of the biggest variable when you're considering you want to burn so many calories. How much time do you have? If you don't have a whole lot of time, you should run. But if you have hours, I mean, you could walk 4 miles and burn the same number of roughly. I'm not. Roughly the same number of calories if you run the 4 miles.
I have a counterpoint, but I want to first ask what you are thinking, because I have a feeling you've got a counterpoint as well.
Yes. I also think the intensity matters. Right. So walking 2 miles and then doing, something like you're talking about with Orange Theory, where you're doing interval training you're going hard and then resting, and then going hard and then resting. Those are two important. You should do both.
Yeah.
But they're very different. Right. So when you go on a walk, and I don't know the answer to this question, I'm not a scientist, but, when you get done with that walk, the way your heart rate comes down, the way your metabolism is for the next 2 hours, is that the same after doing intense intervals? For sure not. No. So burning calories is only one aspect of it. I think.
Right. And I'll get Paul's reaction too here, but I'm trying to defend the purpose of what my point is trying to encourage people that are afraid of running that, hey, you don't have to run 4 miles.
Yeah.
You go out and walk 4 miles.
Absolutely.
If you have the time, it's going to take you a lot longer. So the trade-off
And you might have to break it up over intervals throughout the day.
Yeah. But
I do think that a non-sedentary lifestyle, whether it's walking or running, is always preferable. I think that if you've got bad knees or bad hips, running may not be an option for you. And certainly there's something to be said for the impact on your joints for, going running all the time versus other methods of cardio. But the point you touched on is where my brain went immediately, and that is the cardiovascular difference between getting your heart rate up and keeping it up for a sustained amount of time versus keeping it at a low rest. Because while you can measure the calories for that walk, the impact on the metabolism goes far beyond the actual exercise, and that's why you need a rest day too.
Yeah.
And I do think that you're talking about calories as one measure, certainly an important measure, definitely not the only thing that should be looked at.
No, and I totally agree with both of you guys. But again, the defense of my point is I'm talking to someone that's not going to run.
Yeah.
Not able to. The brain's just not there. The head's not there. So. Kind of, and the other thing too are hills. With Orange Theory, the non-runners often power walk, and they'll just put an incline on. And I'll tell you what, I've had some days where everyone does power walking, and I'm humbled. I'm like 15% on a treadmill, even like 3 miles an hour you're in the red.
Yeah,
like that's tough work. Mm-hmm. So kudos to them.
And especially when you're just starting out. I do coach a cardio class every Sunday at Man of War Fitness on Lowry Lane over by Jeff's Car Wash. But I've had some folks from the January, February, new gym goers come to my class, and it's been great. But honestly, what I'm coaching is more high intensity, and for some people, starting with a walk is the way to go. If you just walk 3 times a week, if you're going from 0 to intense high heart rate, you're going to quit.
Yeah.
Because that's really hard and it's not something you're used to. So anytime you can make small changes, much better than going from 0 to 100 because it's much more sustainable.
Yeah. And it keeps you coming back. I noticed something with Orange Theory where, it gets pretty competitive and there aren't that many guys in the class, mostly women. So if there's a guy next to me and he's running 10 miles an hour on the all out, I'm running 11. You know what I mean? Or you can glance over and you can see people looking and whatever. But so I was very competitive for probably about, 3 or 4 years ago. We were able to still do the spread out and COVID Orange Theories. And I was pushing myself so hard that I didn't want to come back. So I finally realized, you know what? I'm going to slow down, kind of water down my paces a little bit. And now I just love it. I go 4 times a week.
Yeah, I love that messaging too. You're probably familiar with P90X.
Mm-hmm.
I bought that at a yard sale. I got a great deal on it. I wouldn't have purchased it full retail price, but this was at a time where I didn't go to the gym, wasn't playing hockey. I was a lot heavier than I am now, and I still have some weight that I need to lose, but I was not in a place where I needed to immediately be doing this intensity of work. So I popped the DVDs in, and I don't think I made it through the first hour before I was like, you know what? No. And it was barrier to entry because the intensity was too high. The expectation was too big. I thought, I can't do this. I'm not gym people. And I did 0 instead of graduating towards that through, some sort of ramp up into that level of activity.
I would just like to point out, I can't remember the guy's name. Was it Tony or whatever?
Tony something, yeah.
Those people on there did not get looking like that from doing P90X.
No,
Yep.
You know what I mean?
No, it's highly controlled
such
diet,
BS.
anabolic steroids.
A lot of steroids, a lot of good lighting from the film crew. They probably oiled them down beforehand. This is not what you're going to look like in your living room.
I think if somebody oiled me down, though, I would look like a buttered biscuit.
Well, Eric did that before I walked in, and I thought that was kind of weird, but I guess are we filming something?
As soon as we got the camera, you started caring about the aesthetic.
You put the oils right next to it. I don't know what else am I supposed to do. I did P90X with Kristen many years ago, and we got into it when we were kind of pumped about fitness, and we did it for maybe a year or so, and really, really liked it. And then I tried some of the yoga stuff, and I was like, "Oh God, this is awful." But that's, yeah.
Awesome.
I was gonna maybe end with since you're talking about you coach running, one of the things I do for my kids, they both play high school soccer. And so in the summer of every year, they do tryouts. And one of the things for the girls team, they have to run 1.5 miles in 12 minutes. Just 8-minute mile. It's most of the kids on the team can't do it. So it's really more of like, that's like the target. And, some of the girls will get out there and crush it. I got in 3rd place last year, by the way. I tracked
against all the girls. It was great.
I tried to get my time. No, she didn't let me on the team, though. But so one of the things I do with my kids is I do this interval training that's very, very non-scientific. I did a Google search once and got an idea. But maybe you can kind of correct it or pump it up. But basically what I have them do, like run a 1/4 mile, something faster than an 8-minute mile, and then walk back. And then run a 1/4 mile. We do that 4 times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
Can you polish it up or any advice or?
Sure. I mean, there's more than just running too. Mm-hmm. So you probably don't want to run every day. So on off days, they could bike or they could row or something else like that. But if you're just at home, doing interval repeats like that is a staple of track coaches programs all across the country. So yeah, what you're doing is fine.
Okay, good.
What sound is that? Do we take a shot?
I guess we have to. I don't know. Right. We've got these rules. I don't know. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to The Soapbox. Eric, how can people find us?
Well, conveniently, we put everything on our Linktree site. You can go to Linktree, search Soapbox Lex, and you'll find all of our socials there, plus ways to reach us, ways to engage, and some of our original content, so you can see some of the other stuff that we do.